Welcome back to another episode of Fuzzy Memories from the Road, or whatever we're calling this little opus. Thanks for joining us. I am Dustin Pari, and with me, as always, the loveliness Brandy Green. Hey, Brandy.
Hey, Dustin. How's it going?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We're talking about Brazil this time, right? The Hotel Grande is the first of the two we did down there.
Yeah, so this episode, there were two locations. The first location that aired was the Hotel Grande in Cambuquira, Brazil. And I know we moved through Brazil actually quite a bit. We drove everywhere. So we hit up a few different locations there, but this was the only location that was truly out in the country.
Yeah, it was out in the middle of nowhere. I remember it was very quiet, which was nice until the morning came. There were lots of parrots all the time, and there was some type of election going on, and they would drive by on bicycles, like scooters, with stereo boxes in the back and just like yelling and screaming through megaphones about whatever they wanted very strongly people to vote for or against. I didn't know. I remember the beds were really short. They were pretty much all just like plywood. It was awful. I'm about 6'1". I remember like half of my shin down would be like hanging off the bed, which was very uncomfortable because you have to be like in the sleeping like fetal position all night. And it was a little slice of hell in terms of sleeping arrangements, I remember.
Yeah, speaking of beds, I remember you and some of the cast members just having fun.
This never happened.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So after a long day and night of filming, I come back to my room to my bed, which was horrible, by the way. I mean, like you said, it was literally plywood. There were no mattresses. It was like a sheet over just plywood. But I come into my room and my whole bed is gone. It's missing. My room is empty.
We were doing you a favor by getting it out of there. You didn't want to sleep on that thing. It was awful. And they were very easy to move and hide.
Yeah, it's true. But, at 4 a.m.,
yeah, anything's good to sleep. But this was one of those places, like, we stayed there. So we investigated there. And we stayed there, like, not while we were just investigating that place, but like wherever the follow-up was too, like for a little while, wherever we were traveling through, we stayed there for a little bit anyway. So we were there for a while, and it was empty. Like, there were no other residents. It was just us.
Oh yeah, they were in the process of like a remodel. So we were the only people there, just our crew and cast, which collectively was about 17 people. When all was
with the local fixtures and everything. Yeah.
For sure. But what was cool about this place was, so when I travel, I always like to go sort of off the beaten path, because that's where you find the real locals that don't cater to the American ideals, and you really get a taste for the culture. And so when we were there, we production rented a bunch of horses, and we, on our day off, spent the day riding horses and mules. I got a dying mule. I felt so
you always had the best luck with these things.
And we went through Cambuquira, and it was pretty cool. I mean, we saw like cows in the pasture and like farmers. Like, it was really out there.
Yeah, it was very nice. It was natural. It was very authentic. I remember we had one of our production assistants at the time. His name was James. He was very nice. We called him Weird James. To his face, it wasn't a secret. He was a little bit different. And I remember he was a little bit of a heavy-set fellow. And the horse they put him on just couldn't go. It was just pretty much, it was done. Poor James.
I didn't get a horse. I got a mule.
Yeah.
and it's like fur was like coming off, and his shoe, he was missing shoes, and
You get like the
the
winter wreck of animal livestock.
the saddle like harness under him was literally like just hanging
Yeah.
down like on the ground. And I remember I'm like on this poor animal, and we're out in the middle of like the woods at this point. And I'm like, come on, come on. I'm like giving this thing a pep talk, you know? And he's just stopped, like, nope, gonna die here, don't wanna move. And then that's when I jumped into a carriage with Nancy Kwan, our sound person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one way to get around for sure. That poor mule. He's probably not still with us today, I doubt.
I'm sure he's not, which is
Yeah.
sad. But the location, despite like the sleeping situation,
Don't just skip over the mule, Brandy. I think maybe you should have like a moment of silence for your poor shoeless friend. Like,
should
he's
we?
not with us anymore.
Okay,
So the location, no, the mule.
a moment of silence.
Yeah, for the mule. The saddest ass in all of Brazil.
Okay. All right. So the location, aside from the beds, it was actually a pretty cool place. You
Yeah.
never know, you know, and I feel like we traveled enough and we went to enough places where I feel like we started to stereotype locations.
Yeah, we had to be careful not to, because you drive up and see the place and be like, there's nothing here. Like, why are
Right.
we here? Like, they're just trying to sell tickets for a tour. Like, you kind of get that feeling. And this place, you know, it was a little run down, as you said. It was going through some renovations and stuff, and out in the middle of nowhere. But it turned out to be a pretty decent little case.
Yeah, so originally it was built upon these flowing waters that were supposed to heal people.
Yeah,
So there were a lot of stories of people coming to the location with serious, very serious illnesses and
right.
suddenly walking out cured.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It was like
so
Cocoon the movie, but like real. Remember Cocoon with Wilford Brimley?
The innocence of youth and the wisdom of age lies the wonder of Cocoon.
God
I
rest his
totally
soul.
do. I love that movie, and it had the
Movie.
yeah, it had the woman that was in Driving Miss Daisy,
Oh yeah, that's right. Indeed. Was Steve Guttenberg in there too? He was in a
probably.
lot of movies around that time.
Yeah, that was like kind of his career.
Yeah.
Kind of like mine, you know, it's short-lived.
Randy Green, the Steve Guttenberg of paranormal reality television. God bless you.
It's true.
Yeah. But it was like that. And then wasn't it like a casino kind of area for a while too, the town? And then like, but the funds were misappropriated or something, and I think that's why the town died off, if I remember correctly.
Right. Actually, that reminds me, the whole town, it was like doomed by a priest. It was a
That's right.
priest
Yeah.
that, yeah. So I can't remember, fuzzy memory again, but something where this priest, he got mad at the townsfolk for some reason, and he cursed the
The whole
entire
town.
town. Economic, you know, failure, everything. Livestock is going to die, everything you could imagine. And actually, the town did fall into extreme disrepair.
Yeah.
They suffered a lot there. And so it's still like this very small, sleepy, middle of nowhere village town. But I think that they actually are up and running now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they were trying to renovate it. They were trying to rebuild everything around there at that time. So hopefully they're doing better now.
I hope so.
Yeah, indeed.
But
What were our
our
claims?
flight,
I remember some stuff in like the kitchen and things. Like, what were the claims? There was a music room. There was a dining
right?
area.
Yeah, so you would walk in, and to the right there was like this rec room that used to be like this music room, the
Yeah,
ballroom maybe. They
had some
had
big chairs sitting there.
yeah, they had like a chapel area somewhere within the hotel. The kitchen area with the dining room where all we got served was black beans and rice the entire time.
And I don't eat beans, so I just ate rice for days.
It was
My
pretty
traveling Pop-Tarts. That's all we had.
bad.
Hard times, Brandy. Hard times.
Yeah, truly. I mean, I talked about the Romanian diet. Well, I had a Brazilian diet too.
Yeah.
So I remember being in the kitchen, looking out into the dining room with Barry, and we were doing the full spectrum and EVP and all of that.
Mhm.
And we caught some odd images. It was like 2 frames, and it showed movement of what looked like an apparition through this sliding glass, like kitchen window
Right.
divider thing.
Yes.
And then
Now, see, this is coming together now because I was thinking it was myself with Barry and Joe Chin, but I think it was myself, Barry, and you, Steve Guttenberg. I think it was the 3 of us that were in there at the time because we had the tri-field meter set up in the kitchen, like on some like the stainless steel racks or whatever. I remember hearing the tri-field meter starting to go off and seeing this apparition. It started almost like a ball behind that glass and
Yeah.
started to come up into shape. And then that was it after that.
yeah, I mean, it's totally cool. I get mistaken for Joe Chin all the time.
The similarities are just my apologies. I insert Joe Chin to a lot of my memories. He's usually around and he's quiet. You know, he's like a cat. You don't even know he's there half the time. But he
Well,
wasn't even with us yet.
That's what, no, he doesn't come to us until like Sweden or something.
Yeah.
But side note, what's great about Joe Chin, and I think we tried to figure this out when we were on the road with him.
Yeah.
You know, we always referred to you as Dustin. I was always Brandy.
Yeah.
Joe Chin was always Joe Chin. It was
Yeah,
never
the whole-
just, hey, Joe. It was Joe
Yeah.
Chin.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, he was a man that commanded more than one name. He needed the full thing, you know, like it really just flowed well. And yeah, people love Joe Chin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had that in
Yeah.
the dining room area and the kitchen. So a visual footage right there.
Mhm.
And then I remember the music room. The music room was odd.
Yeah, it
because-
felt weird.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were like outside of it, and the air was like free flowing and normal.
Yeah.
And then you would walk into the music room, like
Mhm.
as soon as you walked through that threshold, it was like thick. The
Yeah.
air was thick, like you could cut it with a knife.
There was just a heaviness, and which was odd too, because you think of a place that is a music room or a ballroom, and it should be filled with life and happiness and laughter, but it didn't have that feel at all to it. And this was one of the places we did Singapore Theory as well, right?
Yes,
Played some
Yep.
music and tried to bring things around and everything. And
right.
don't
We
remember
tried
too much
to
happening.
play. Yeah, we played music from the era that it was, at its height.
20s or
Um,
something.
Yeah, and I cannot honestly remember if we got anything off of that.
Yeah.
But it was certainly a strange room, and we tried to figure out, well, is there no ventilation? Is the air circulation different? But
Right.
there was no obvious reason for that specific room to feel so heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, it just was something off about it for sure. But
And then
that's why.
Yeah, and then I remember investigating with Angela. We were in the chapel area. So they had this weird chapel. So Brazil is majorly like Catholic. That's like the predominant religion there. And so a lot of these places would have religious little shrines or what have you. And they had this chapel I forget where it was. I think it was in the back section. And Angela and I were investigating the chapel area, and just her and I and the camera guy. And we were doing an EVP session, and we were getting like knocks that seemed to be in direct response to the questions we were asking. And every time we would move towards the knock, that sound,
Yeah.
Ask another question, and then we get a knock from the other side of the room where we just were, and it was like we were ping pong balls, like
Oh,
going
yeah.
back and forth. It was very odd.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It wasn't just like centrally located with just one place doing something.
No, I
Uh,
mean, because I think that there were pews in there, and so you could say, oh, well, maybe it's the wood in this pew that's expanding, contracting, creaking,
right.
but it
Right.
was like every place that we were and had left, that's where the sound would come from.
How come in churches we call them pews? Everywhere else they're just a bench.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really, I think pew is actually a horrible word.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense at all. I don't know.
No.
But I mean, I grew up, going to Catholic school and church and everything. I was just thinking about it just now. I'm like, why do we call it that? Like, shit, anywhere else, that's a bench. Anywhere else in the world, you're sitting down on that, that's a bench. In a
Yeah,
church,
we were investigating the church benches.
yeah, church benches.
There you go.
I remember that was one of the places where they had given us cameras to record in the rooms at night. Obviously, not with us on camera, but just from your bed perspective of the room in case something happened because we were there so many nights. I don't remember if I had caught it on camera or not, but I remember there was a small TV stand or something. There was no TV, but at the end of my bed, at the end of my plywood little square that I could sleep at night like a little hobo, there was a little platform at the end with a cabinet, and I know one night opened up by itself. I don't remember if it was recorded or not, but I remember waking up and knowing it was closed the night before. I'm just one of those people that close all the doors and stuff, so the boogeyman can't get out. He hides in those places. So I remember that. But
I remember overnight, Angela and I were hanging out. I think it was in my room. She was right next door to me. And I think we were talking about footage or whatever. And it was really late. I mean, everyone had gone to sleep.
yeah,
And we were up and we were talking. I had my light on. The door was closed to the hallway. And it, it was kind of quiet, and all of a sudden we heard a creak. And I looked over to the door, and you could see the door handle actually like turning. And
wow,
the first thing I thought was, damn it, they're at it again. They're gonna steal something else from my room. Like I
yeah,
really thought it was you or one of the other cast members, you know?
right,
So Angela was like sitting there like, oh my gosh, like what's happening?
yeah,
And I, forever the skeptic, I get up right next to the door and I wait to see if it does it again. And sure enough, the handle starts to turn again. And this time, as it's turning, I grabbed on and like opened the door, and there was no one in that hallway.
yeah.
Personal
This is
experience.
cool. Yeah, that place was cool. I think it had its good, array of activity that was going on while we were there, both on and off camera. It was one of the better locations for sure. And again, one of those places that's kind of was out in the middle of nowhere. It was very unassuming. We weren't expecting a lot of stuff out of it, but it ended up being one of the ones I think they kind of delivered a little bit more than some of the other places we went to.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there were some locations where you looked at it and were like, oh my gosh, like if I'm going to see something, it's going to be here. And then we
Yeah,
were just super disappointed. Um,
right.
but this time, yeah, total opposite. I
Yeah.
really, I would love to go back to Compakita, honestly.
I think it would be interesting, like, to go back and see what it's like today. Because I mean, that was like what, 12 years ago? Was it like 2008 or something? We were there.
Yeah, as far as I
Oh,
know, I think that they have it up and running. Yeah, I would really like to see it now and just see,
yeah.
because something that people don't know, um, or may not know is we would actually pay a location fee, 99% of the time,
Right.
to these places. And so that's why a lot of these places were in a state of disrepair because they would oftentimes use that money to help, guide
Rebuild
the
it. Yeah.
right. Um, and so I know that there's a number of locations that we have been to that don't look anything like they did when we were there. Like Nottingham Road Hotel in South Africa,
Yeah.
it's actually like a really nice place according to the website. Like
That's because they jacked up all our bar tabs and pilfered all that money from, sorry, the production company paid for it, but it was not right. It was not right what
no,
they did.
no.
But
Yeah, so I would love to go back to Peru and Brazil for sure.
yeah, yeah. Well, you can't beat it. It was warm. Most of the places we were at were always cold. It was
That's
at least
true.
warm down there. And hopefully they've upgraded the bedding situation down there in Campiquita.
Oh God, I hope so.
That was rough. That was rough.
Okay, so this was the Grande Hotel
Yeah.
in
Grande.
Cambuquita, case file, and that one's done.
Done. So where do we go to next?
So next, as we fly on the small little puddle jumper plane that we were never actually in,
Right, B-roll city.
we're headed to Sao Paulo. Sao
Oh,
Paulo,
yeah.
Aqua Street, Little Castle.
I was very excited to stay in Sao Paulo because I remember going to see well, a couple of different reasons. All right, so first off, I'm not a bad human being, but I'm an interesting dichotomy of what I am. And part of me was so excited to go there because I remember we were able to go on a day off, not a filmed journey, but go to see the huge statue of Christ in Rio. And I remember going and climbing up and seeing that and really being in awe for my spiritual reasons. I thought that was great. And then the little boy in me was excited because I remember when I checked into the hotel that across the street there were signs for a nude beach. The idea is of a young man in Rio, and there's a nude beach across the street. It's very exciting. And then in the morning, I remember going out and it was an all male nude beach. So it's not as exciting.
Yeah, from what I remember of just Brazil beaches, like in general, is even if they're nude beaches, that doesn't mean you want to go there because what you see is way more than you ever bargained for, and it's not good
Just
stuff.
in your mind's eye, for sure.
Oh my gosh, like I thought there was this guy he was a little heavier, a little older.
Yeah.
And he was wearing a tiny little Speedo, and I thought he was wrapped up in a bearskin rug, but no, that was just him.
Oh, he was a little fuzzy. That's okay. That happens sometimes.
Oh, yeah, not
Right.
that poor guy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know what I was excited about? I remember coming home and seeing the I think it was a Pixar animation for Rio with the parrots and everything. And like when they were doing some of the overhead shots, well, the animation of the overhead shots of like the streets and everything and the hillsides, I was like, wow, like I remember that. Like, like it looked true to form, like from what I remember being there. It was really gorgeous.
Brazil, because we went to a few locations in Brazil. We spent like a little over a month in Brazil. So we went to Campiquita, a small little country village out in the middle of nowhere. And then we went to Sao Paulo, which is very industrial and like inner city, dangerous, kind of shady.
Yeah, we were, because it was right near the favelas and everything like that we had to go into, right?
No, actually, that's Rio.
Oh, that was Rio? See, it all starts to blur.
Fuzzy memories.
Fuzzy memories, kids. But I remember the new beach was a letdown.
Yeah, so Sao Paulo, Aqua Street, it was right off the freeway, like bypass. Like there was a huge, it was terrible. So the story was originally this location was constructed by a very wealthy family that were well-to-do in the Sao Paulo area.
Yeah, there were two brothers involved in the story, right?
Yeah, and it was in like the 1930s or something. I can't remember, but there was a mass murder that took place, and they still don't know. It's like an unsolved case.
Yeah.
There were two brothers and a mother that still lived there in this mansion castle. It was really, it wasn't quite a castle. I mean, it was
No,
like,
and it was like next to a nightclub.
yeah,
Like one of the walls boarded with a nightclub.
well, there wasn't much left of it either. It was
No,
just a lot
it
of
was a tissue
caution
fair.
tape and like broken floor.
Yeah, there's no
Um,
windows in most of it.
and so it was very contaminated, like
Yeah,
for anything that we tried to do.
yeah,
Um, but the murder suicide story, some believe that one of the sons murdered his brother and his mother. Other people think that maybe there was a fourth person that came in and
mhm,
killed them. They still don't know.
yeah,
Um, this is one of the locations actually that when we were there, it was in total disrepair. But it had just been purchased. The property had just been purchased by this group of women that were all mothers, and they're trying to give back to their community. And so they would take donations, and their goal was to rebuild the structure and make it like a community outreach facility. And
yeah.
so I like to think that our production money, went for a good cause this
Yeah, for
time.
sure, for
Uh,
sure.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I remember trying to speak French in a Brazilian and predominantly Portuguese speaking
Right.
city. I don't know. It was really weird.
It was a tough case. I remember thinking, like, in contrast to so many of the other cases that we've done, and in contrast to being um, in the States and working cases here, when I mean, you know me very well, and I don't know exactly where your beliefs lie, but I think we're of the same mindset that you don't need to wait until midnight to investigate or 3 a.m. But here in America, usually those are quiet times. But down there, people are partying and having a great time. There's like siestas, and then people are up late at night, and especially when you're in that downtown area, in a building that was kind of in disrepair without windows and the wall down, there was so much contamination. It was so very difficult. And I remember trying to use my little 2.5 years of Dora the Explorer level Spanish to try to do EVP sessions. And we would always do our best. And, it used to bother me a little bit. People would write back on Thursday mornings because the show would be on Wednesday night. They'd write on Thursday, "You guys are so stupid. You travel the world and you only speak English." And it's like, well, they didn't show our really poor attempts at communicating in other languages very often. They did show a little bit once in a while. We would get things translated by our local production person who was our fixer that would help us out. So we would write questions in English so they could try to communicate in not just the language that they spoke there currently, but also a lot of places where castles where nobility would speak in different languages previously. We would try different things to try to communicate. I remember being somewhere in South America where I did ask questions in Spanish and received correct answers in English that made sense, and vice versa, which kind of tied in with the universal consciousness theory, where all are one, and that after death we're not limited to the knowledge and linguistics and everything else that tied us in this life. So I remember doing the research for that place, doing the research scene, and trying to find out more about the murders. I want to say there was some little point of contention between one of the brothers, or who they thought was the murderer, who was like left-handed, versus the attack was somebody who was right-handed or something like that. But I might be confusing it with stories about Billy the Kid, which is also a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I get mixed up for Joe Chin all the time. So,
I do my best. It's just sometimes it's not good enough.
no, I mean, I will have everyone know I butchered at least 30 different languages during my time on GHI.
Thoroughly.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
uh,
For sure.
yeah, I mean, aside from that, I think we had maybe a couple potential maybe EVPs, but I think we ended up kind of throwing them away just because of all of the contamination. I think we were trying to listen to audio, and all you could hear were like car horns and
car horns,
traffic.
nightclub music, and people yelling, and
yeah,
not good for investigating, but really cool just to hang out for sure.
Yeah, I have to say, if I go back to Brazil, I'll definitely go back to Cambuquita. Not so much Sao Paulo. I don't know. It
I
wasn't.
kind of like Sao Paulo, but I think I would just want to see what happened to the little castle to see if they were able to do it something for the women of the town and such. That would be interesting to see. It was a beautiful little structure. You could tell it had a lot of history and character, but just the city changed around it.
Yeah, it was really sad. It was filled with like, graffiti, and
Yeah.
it was really bad. But yeah, I mean, so we did Kambaquita, and then we did a polar opposite case in Sao
Yeah.
Paulo, for good measure. And I mean, honestly, that's kind of all I remember about Sao Paulo.
Yeah, that's about it. Apparently, most of my memories tend to go to Rio. So yeah, I guess that's it for me too on this one.
Well, until next time, when we
Wherever we may be
discuss,
next time.
right. Um, so for those of you watching us, I encourage you to watch the episode that we're discussing prior to watching us. Uh,
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might be a little confused.
Right.
But you can watch us now on Peacock TV, which is a free app. You can get it through Roku, you can get it through your phone, and then jump over and watch these little behind the scenes tidbits.
Right. And just remember, it was like at least 10 to 12 years ago, so that's why the memories are as fuzzy as they are. But I think it's nice that we're kind of doing it this way because I think it's a little more natural to go with just what we remember instead of let's watch the episode and recap it for you because that's a cheat.
Right, and I mean, a lot of you will probably be messaging us, telling us,
Oh, yeah.
what are you doing? You're not even talking about the right location.
Right. Just enjoy this for whatever this is.
We don't pretend to be anyone other than ourselves, except for sometimes I'm Joe Chin.
Or Steve Guttenberg.
Well, that wraps up this episode where we did Kambaquita and then we did Sao Paulo. I hope we got some of the stuff sort of accurate. I don't know. Maybe we didn't.
Yeah. As long as you hit the dartboard, you don't have to hit the bullseye every time. Just get somewhere on there.
Just somewhere. All right. Until next time.
So thanks for
Bye.
watching, everybody. Fantastic.
All right. So how much more time do you have?
Can probably do another one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do another one.
Okay, so we did Ghost Child, Grande Hotel. Okay, so Grande Hotel, Kambaquita, and Opera Street.
Okay. Oh,
And
wait,
I actually have the case files for these.
am I getting Hotel Kambaquita confused with Grande Hotel?
No, it was the Grande Hotel, but the crew called it the Hotel Kambaquita for Hotel California.
Hotel
South.
California. Okay, all right. This is when we have a photo. Joe Chin, Barry, and I were in the kitchen, and we started to see like this orb kind of thing come together of what was supposedly a lady that used to walk through the dining room kitchen area.
I think it was a different location because this one I was with Barry in the kitchen. I don't know if we had Joe Chin yet.
We stayed at this one. We lived there. Nobody else was there,
Well,
right?
I don't think Joe Chin didn't come until season. No, he didn't come until.
I thought Joe Chin was with us at Pradiyama because I mentioned him at Pradiyama.
No,
Oh,
he didn't.
I'm sure I did.
I don't think you did. I'm pretty sure you didn't. And if you did, we can fix it.
Yeah, I'm almost positive I did. Sorry about that.
No. Hold on. Let me see if I have.
Cast.
No. So this is the one. Look at what I have. Like, how lame am I?
Well, no, I've got the same things in my file somewhere in the basement.
Yeah. So this one, Rob, Barry, Dustin, Angela, Brandy, and Robert Hernandez. You remember him? Do you
Yeah, big
remember?
slow Robert. Yep. I'm just trying to see. Hold on one second, because I have a photo that I used in some of my lectures, which doesn't mean it has to be right, but I could have swore it was from there. What country
Barber
are we in?
Fortress.
Argentina?
What was that?
Argentina? Or Brazil? Where are we?
We're in Brazil right now.
Okay.
I don't think he came until Sweden. So we did, yeah, we lived in the hotel for like a week and a half or whatever it was. There really was nothing there. The mattresses didn't exist. They were just plywood.
Yeah. I remember
You
it was,
guys-
oh my God. In the morning, there was like a political thing going on, and they drive by the bikes with the speakers
Yep.
yelling about voting.
Yeah, and that's
Oh,
where
I
you
remember
would
this place now.
that's where you would dry your pants out on your little balcony.
Yeah.
We found a place that served pizza. It was like this really shady, like,
Right. Oh,
place.
wow, yeah. I have dated September 2008. Is that 2008,
Huh.
correct?
Yeah.
All right. I don't have any pictures from this hotel, I guess. I just can't
So,
recall. I'm gonna look at my phone real quick because I
yeah.
don't recall it at all. I'm
It
thinking
was
of
like yellow. It was like yellow. It was against like a cobblestone.
oh, I think I took a picture outside this place that was
Bridge.
entitled Beyond Here Lies Nothing. Um, what's it called again? Hotel Grande?
Hotel Grande. It's in Cambuquita, Brazil, though. Cambuquita. Wait, Cambuquita, Brazil. We are in Brazil. I'm so
All right,
confused.
because in Brazil I have photos that were called Cambuquita Street, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I remember now. They divided up the episodes. It was really weird. We
Yeah,
were in Peru, and then we went to Brazil, and then we went to Denmark, and we went back to
yeah,
Peru.
it didn't
made
make
no
any
sense.
sense.
I don't know if you can see on my phone at all.
I can when you tilt it up a little bit. Yep.
So me, you, Barry, Rob, Angela, and Big Robert
Rob.
Hernandez.
Here's a picture of Weird James and I on the horses.
Oh my God.
It's actually entitled Weird James and I. There's the pizza
Yes.
place. Remember they had hammocks outside?
Yes.
There's a
Yeah.
picture of me laying
It
in the
was like
hammock.
on the roadside. We
Yeah.
were in between locations. We were driving
We're
through
driving.
and we made a stop. Yeah.
Yep.
And they had the poor little green parrot with the clipped wings.
I have the picture of the parrot. He's right there. That's so funny. I have
Who's
a picture
that?
of him right there. That's great. And there's a picture of all of us with, who was the fixer's name? The woman.
Flavia.
Flavia.
Was that the location that you and I went out to the lawn? There was something in the laundry room. Remember, it was like a back house.
Yeah, was
Was
that
that-
that? I do remember that. I remember going to a laundry building.
And that was me and you. I don't remember what the claims were, but I remember I
Yeah.
was trying to speak Portuguese.
Portuguese.
And there were clothes hanging. So like the visual looked cool, but it was really
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but there's really nothing there for us to do.
we tried to use the obelisk. It didn't work. And then Barry and I, or you and Barry, I can't remember.
I remember just being with Barry in the kitchen, looking out to the dining room area that connected. And we had the EMF, the tri-field meter. And the tri-field meter started to make a sound, and we started to hear what sounded like a woman's voice. And
Okay.
we had seen and started to take photos of this anomalous purple shape. And then Dave Hobbs came running in because he was excited and went right through the damn thing, and that was the end of it.
It's not Dave Hobbs.
Thanks, Dave. He was very excited.
There were-
And we stayed there while we were there. Is that the place where we stole your mattress?
Yes, you were
Yeah.
going around stealing people's. Yeah, what was
But
what? they
Plywood
considered
mattresses.
A mattress, yeah.
Yeah.
And there was parrots outside all the time, like
Yeah.
parrots in the trees. And then Angela and I, when we weren't filming, we had someone jiggling the door handle, and we thought, because that was after you guys stole my mattress, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, those bastards, like,
Yeah.
they're at it again.
Episodes of Brazil, right?
Yes. Yep. So Grande Hotel Cambuquita and Aqua Street was in Sao Paulo,
Oh yeah, Sao Paulo.
which I didn't like.
No, that was across from the beach. That was a nude beach, but it was dudes. I was all
Okay.
excited for nothing. All right. Hotel Grande in Cambuquita, Brazil. All right, ready? In 3 and 2 and.